I mean, I still to this day don't really know what it was that Lee had in particular with me, and I think it's a question really for him. But obviously taking the title from such a well-known song at the time, and what really pained me is that going back to the Notting Hill Carnival story, is that song was, the whole terminology of Bo Selecta is something that you'd say to a DJ. So the selector is the DJ, and Bo was a term of endearment to the DJ in a club. So if the DJ played a song that you liked, you'd go, Bo, 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 Bo. It'd be like almost pandemonium, the way that you just feeling that you're trying to show this love. So he'd taken that and kind of twisted the whole thing around. And then it just seemed like it went way beyond this is a one-off moment of satire, but even then it was just like, I couldn't see anything in any of the characters that in any way was kind of empowering anyone. There was no moment of like, if it was Lorraine or if it was David Beckham, if it was myself, if it was Trisha. It all seemed to be finding moments in people that was trying to highlight something that they knew that they hadn't quite found their voice. David Beckham is a good example. At the moment when he was trying to find his voice, I don't know if anyone remembers, there was a period of time when people wanted to hear him talk, they wanted to hear him speak, because this is David Beckham, one of the best footballers in the world. And he was finding his way to kind of have like long conversations and really come across. Instead of celebrating that, this show was trying to poke a hole into that. Let's highlight that you can't find your voice, and your voice sounds funny, so let's really drill that down. Or if it was Mel B, the biggest girl group in the world, the Spice Girls, and you go in to make her look and portray her as a disempowered woman. So the misogyny that was going on, then lean into my character. See, I've got to try and take the personal part out of it. That's the why we were talking about earlier. From the time that you kind of have gone, okay, there's the Kestrel, and there's okay, for some reason got a colostomy bag on, and it's like, and we're going to show that everything you do is all going wrong, and when you go to America, it's not quite. So there's a personal sort of bullying vendetta going on. But the line that crossed, unfortunately, which is an unconscious thing for Lee, was that so you put the black rubber mask on, that's on you, my man. You're now opening up a can of worms that's kind of like, goes way beyond this whole personal thing. You open up lineage now. And I think that's something that he has to take. Do you mean racism? Oh, for sure. I mean, if you put a black rubber mask on, then you're moving into opening up something that's going to trigger not a personal thing with me, to trigger everybody. And the fact that I could see in everybody having experience, which we didn't touch on earlier, but a moment of bullying at school. So it was kind of, for me, was just exacerbated the same thing. It was like tenfold. So I was like, okay, I need to somehow either process this and learn from it. But at the time, I didn't know how to process it.
And the thing I think now, when I think back, is you were only 21. Mm-hmm. And you have this line where you say, it was like you wanted to crush me. And there's a bit of an echo, I think, about how Britney Spears was treated, that now there's a sort of reappraisal of that. I mean, to do it to somebody who is 21, and at that point you didn't have social media and like Instagram or anything like that where people like yourselves could kind of respond back, there was a sense of powerlessness about it.
I mean, yeah, that's what it was. When I look at it in a nutshell, it was all disempowering for everyone that was involved. And I felt like I took the brunt of it. And I've now trying to find ways to talk about it that, like I said, when we talked about forgiveness, I've been able to forgive the situation, forgive the unconsciousness, forgive Lee in the way in which that has given me acceptance that I'm not carrying it into everything that I do. But we're not going to have it as the elephant in the room. Oh, we're going to talk about it for real. Like we're going to speak on this, because it goes back to every kid that gets bullied in school that is trying to find their voice and doesn't know where to go. And it was exactly the same thing, just on TV. And it goes way beyond Lee. It goes, this was commissioned, right? There was a production company that actually said, yeah, this is good, we need to run this. So
it was institutional.
It's accountability across the board, right? But we can't change.
And one of your responses of how you dealt with it was that you moved to Miami. And it's really interesting because you talk about how you become really into bodybuilding and you get, you become full on into it. But it's only, I think you say in the book, only later that you make the connection between just how extreme you got into bodybuilding and the treatment you'd had here?
Yeah, I mean, I've got to say that the hardest thing for me at the period of time, because I moved to Miami maybe 2010, and that was just on the period of time where it'd been decommissioned. It was the end of the series that were running, so it was like nearly like 8 years worth of that going on. And something has shifted culturally around that show and around the music, and in terms of being ridiculed and the music not being seen for just being the music like it was. It wasn't Notting Hill Carnival. I'm just here in the background and people were actually having the best time. People were having that, but there was all this filter of this show in between, a filter of it in between. So I was like, okay, I don't want to do this, but I feel I've got to go to somewhere else. And it hurt me because this country is everything to me. I grew up here. This is everything I know, everything, my grandma's cooking, my Southampton days, my mum working in Superdrug, my dad and everything he went through. And now I'm going all the way to Miami. And I'm telling this story to all the publications that, oh, I went there because it's like the fast cars and the women, all of that. Yeah, okay, great. It was a great story to tell. And I carried that on with, let's get the body in a certain way so I can really act the part, become the part. But deep down, it was just how far can I get away from all of this? Because even when I was here in the UK, and I tried to make it go away in a multitude of ways. I mean, there's a picture of me with Lee Francis, and I look at it and I shudder when I look at it, because inside of me I just see the bully and the kid who wants to say, I want nothing to do with this, but actually if I lean in, maybe you might let this go away. Or maybe if you, at Royal Albert Hall, which I'm doing a concert, the Windrush, 75th anniversary of Windrush, on next Friday. I remember him being on stage with me when we tried to bring it in to be like, okay, if you lean in, my PR were like, lean into it, because it might just let it go away, look like you're having a bit of fun and you're with it. I was like, inside I was crying, but I did it. So I look back at those things, and when I talk about forgiveness, I had to forgive myself for betrayal of myself at that moment, but I was a kid, and I can put it on that, but it was still the same feeling. The betrayal of even having him anywhere near a stage. And then I look full circle of having to leave the place that I love to go and do it. I was like, and I don't know a lot of people really knew that was the real reason behind it, that I actually did go away from that.